G'day viewers, this is New York Trenton in Train Sim World 3 and I'm bringing to you a update from Early Access to show you what's coming up soon in the form of a patch. We're on Acela 2031 and it's time to go. What's that in our face? Oh, it's overhead line equipment. It's back! Apparently they sent out a search party and they found the overhead line equipment and brought it back to Sunnyside Yard, where it belongs. I think I just said Sunnyside. That's okay, as they say in the classics. Now, something else to notice, I have ATC and ACSES cut in, and we're in a yard, and it says 20, not 125. Lovely. And we have a restricting aspect on the signal. Lovely. Just coming up to that speed. I've not turned the alerter on for this run, because, to be honest, when you're recording stuff or streaming stuff, having the little yappy dog that goes, "Bap, bap, bap," are you awake, is just kind of annoying, really. So we have a full complement of overhead equipment here. I have to admit, most of you know I'm a beta tester, I have to admit, I actually missed it. Sorry. Kind of missed that it wasn't here. Sorry. But anyway, it's here now. It's all good. We actually have wires. We actually have pantographs up. Excellent. And I'm going to keep taking this into Penn Station because there's some other stuff I want to show you. We're just getting away with that 21 mile an hour, but if I accelerate much more, bad things are going to happen to me. Not as bad as they were before, though, because now, actually, I think in the Acela it didn't happen anyway, but in the ALP and the ACS it certainly did, where you would get an overspeed that wouldn't clear, and you might get a suppression indicator that wouldn't clear as well. Now, as we come out of the yard, we will get from ATC a clear 125, but that's where our route knowledge comes in. There we go. There's the clear 125. It is actually a correct indication, but we know that our speed limit's actually going to be 60, so we can accelerate accelerate to that now. Really good use of English there, mate. And as we approach our tunnels, what's that I see down there? A whistle marker on the outside of the tunnel? What about this one? Has this one got one too? Yes, it does. Better do it then. Going down a rather steep hill now, so I shall throttle off. Hop on just a little bit of braking, because my route knowledge tells me that yes, in 2.1 miles I have to be doing 15, but my route knowledge also tells me that more often than not when I'm coming down here, we're going to get restricted down to 45 pretty quickly, so I'm just slowly heading down to that now. Now, another change in the tunnels is there we go. We have a medium, and I'll just get a little while to get down there, we'll be fine. Let's get it down to the right spot. There we go. All good. Now, you may also notice that the lighting in the tunnel is significantly better. So the light bake's been brightened up and looks quite nice now. The other thing that you will see less of, not completely eliminated, but less of, is distant white flashes, where we're going into a tunnel that hadn't completely loaded the tiles yet. So there's a bit of preloading going on, and there we go with a overspeed, which has cleared nicely. Good demonstration. We'll pretend I meant that, and we'll pretend I didn't know about the 30 mile an hour coming up. So we're in suppression again. I've acknowledged that. Bring it down to 30 miles an hour, and I can release again. So to get into suppression, you only need to drop about 15 pounds out of the equalising reservoir, and you will be fine. The equalising reservoir is represented by the white needle on the left-hand gauge. So a lot of that ATC nastiness that was happening is now gone. I don't think there's a promise that it's all gone everywhere, but there's been a lot of changes to improve it. Now we're going to get dropped down to, I think, 20 miles an hour again soon, so let's just leave it sit on 20, shall we? As we head on down the tunnel. Here we go. Here's another signal with the restricting aspect. With the solid yellow over the flashing green. Just acknowledge that because we're already down there. I can actually accelerate a little bit because we're going uphill by now. It's slowing me down quite a lot. So let's pick that back up. And we want to stay under 20 now until we get to our 15 zone, which is in 0.8 of a mile. Let's give it some more beans. We all know what beans means, especially when they come in a can. I had a very nice bean and sausage burrito for lunch today. Made from some leftovers of red beans and rice. One of the many leftover things that came with us from when we lived in the US. And we came back to Australia, there are a few dishes that came with us, and red beans and rice is one of them. No customs, we didn't bring them in. We make them here. It was 20 years ago. When we get into Penn Station itself, which we're not terribly far away from now, what you should see in there is some better lighting in the station. It should be less of the black abyss and more of a somewhat lit up station. Pretty close to the top of the hill now. We'll pop out into the station itself. I'm just starting to throttle back just a little bit. It's kind of funny because the preserve railway that I operate on, it's the Heritage Railway, our top speed's 15 miles an hour, and I have to say when you're running along in one of our steam engines, it feels very quick. It doesn't feel very quick in an Acela. But as I often say, that's okay. So in this video I'm going to take you through all of the changes that I'm aware of. And I'll show you around those places. And we'll flip around a bit and we'll use different trains as well. Now it's not going to be a super long video. This is the only long drive I'm going to do. There's another train going through the tunnel next to me. Just throttle off now and let gravity do its thing as we pop out the top, because I want to get down to 15. And here we are, New York Penn. You can already see that it is substantially less dark murder house basement-like and a lot more modern workplace station-like, where there's more of an emphasis on safety than there is on hiding serial killers in the dark. Those of you who know the game might know that as a reference to another New York subway. Continue our run down the platform. ATC is still correctly showing 20, even though our route knowledge tells us that the speed limit is 15. Now you notice there's no new services, Penn Station still not busier, but there are more people wandering around, which is good to see. There's not many on this platform because of course, you know, we're a train that's just coming in. You can see some up here, down towards our stopping point. Another restricted signal here, yellow over red, which means the next one is red. Should probably dim my headlights, shouldn't I? I'm being mean and blinding them all. Alright, we're nearly coming up to a stop. And then we'll go off and have a look at some of the other changed aspects of the route. There we go. All good. The bells, the bells. You can stop now. Alrighty. Well, that is New York Penn Station. So we will continue on and have a look at some other areas of change. So just to recap that, we had the overhead line equipment in Sunnyside Yard. I said it again, Sunnyside Yard, coming down to the tunnels, whistle boards on the tunnels, better lighting in the tunnels, better lighting in Penn Station, and correct behaviour of ATC and ACSES on the way here. Good to see. Okay, let's go look at some other stuff. Well, here we are in Newark Penn Station in New Jersey, and as you can tell, the lighting is a little different now. This is daytime, and I'll pop back around and show you again at night time. Just do a little bit of rail fanning here to watch the NJT heading off towards New York. So it certainly does look a little different. It's a little brighter here in the daytime. A little less dingy. I'd still love to see this station grubbier because I used this station every day for a couple of weeks back in 2018, I think. And it wasn't the cleanest place in the world, I can certainly tell you that. Alright, let's come back here at night time in just a moment. Well, here we are, back in Newark Penn Station at night time. And I got to say, it does look better. Nice patchy lighting. It's actually quite a bit like this in reality. It's a little bit of a dim station, this one. So I think this looks quite good for the time of day, because there's no light coming in from the big windows above. Let's go and interview these people and see what they think. G'day. What do you think of the new lighting? Is it better? I don't know. You're coming out of the dark there. What do you think? Not much, huh? Bit grumpy? Okay. What about you? What do you think of it, Mr. Trenchcoat? How you doing? What about you, mate? No? No one wants to be interviewed today. Anyway, I do think it looks a little bit better. Where are all these people coming from? It's like the zombie apocalypse. They're all just appearing all of a sudden. That probably means a train's due, because one of the changes they made a while ago in Train Sim World 3 was to make people start turning up when trains were due. How you doing? It's time to end this segment. This is Newark Penn Station. Next we'll go off and have a look at, let's see, Newark Liberty. And that one's all about lighting, so we'll do it at night time. Here we are at Newark International Airport. And of course I'm on the tracks. Probably should get out of the tracks. The waiting rooms are lit up now. Still can't go in there. At least they're lit up. The outdoor waiting room is lit. This must be fun in the snow. And the general lighting around the place. Signs are working. Oop, rubbish to clean up. Pretty good. Our new asset here for PIS, not working in this update. Looks fairly good in the station up there. Let's pop upstairs and have a look. We always walk to the airport, couldn't we? No, we can't. Up we go, up the stairs. G'day. How you doing? Morning. This does look like your average modern concourse. I don't think I can get through this part. It's a little bit patchy on the lighting still, so Could do with a little bit more light here, for example. I'm guessing this booth is casting a shadow. But yeah, overall, pretty good. Good improvement. Alrighty, we'll see you soon for the next part. Right, here we are at Rahway, which has also had the lighting treatment. And once again, I've fallen on the tracks. Help, help, I can't get up. Oh, let's pop back up here. So our station lighting is working now. The lighting, I believe, is adjusted to the new model where it comes on when it gets dark rather than coming on to a set schedule. Lighting looks pretty good over on that platform over there as well. And why, of course, do Gunzels think the name Rahway is funny? Because railway. Stop pushing me off onto the tracks. These people are so mean. What is it with the people of New Jersey? They just always want to push me on the tracks. Anyway, that's looking pretty good, I have to say. So we've actually got some lighting in the station now. Good stuff. Alrighty, we shall see you for the next bit at Harrison. Here come the zombies again. We're now at the Harrison Path Station. Now, the path tracks correctly do not have overhead line equipment. These people are going to be very sad because path trains aren't implemented in the route, which means they're just going to be hanging around on this platform forever. I'm sorry. But anyway, we now also do have our correct contingent of overhead wiring from the bridge down towards New York, which is good to see. Fairly big plane heading off to Newark Airport there, or maybe just taking off from New York, one or the other. From LaGuardia, perhaps. It's a bit far away for JFK to be that low. But anyway, we have got overhead line equipment, which is good to see. Alrighty. I think we'll see you soon for the next bit. Here we are in a New Jersey cab car, which have had some updated textures for wet weather. Let's have a look outside. It's only just started raining, so not seeing a lot of change yet, but that will come, I'm sure. Just go and have a look at the inside windows. Actually, I can see it forming on the windows now. Let's just jump in. I'll get this door shut because I actually want the AI to take this train away. We are seeing some rain on the windows here. And up here as well. That's good. Stuck on a seat. So how about down the bottom windows? Yep, we've got rain on all the windows now. That's good. Improve textures when wet. Now the next thing I want to look at is in the vestibule here. This does look like they're a lot closer together. So in a little while when it says, do you want to give up this train? And I say yes, we'll come back here because I want to see how this behaves on curves. I've given up control of this train because I'm in here in the vestibule between the coaches, which are now coupled more closely together. And the steel plates now touch each other, which is good to see. Have some fairly nice movement in the curve. Feels like I'm going to get my head cut off any second. So it's probably not quite perfect. There's a little bit of overlap there still. But that's better than it was. Had quite a big gap here before. This is actually not too bad at all. I'm not sure how these plates would be mounted in reality. I guess they must actually be movable. Otherwise this would happen. I think this is quite a bit better than what we had before. Cool. Alrighty, we shall see you soon. Feels like my head's going to get cut off again. We shall see you again soon for the next bit of interesting stuff. Well, there's the next little update on the Amtrak Amfleet coaches. The number is now the same font in the 5th digit. Good to see. G'day viewers, here we are in the Amtrak Cab Car leaving Newark Penn's... No, we're heading for Newark Penn Station, sorry, I apologise. G'day viewers, here we are in the Amtrak Amfleet Cab Car. Let's just get rid of the bell now that we're out of the platform. And why am I here? Well, I want to pop outside. Because what we should have is non-blurry wheels. And look at that, non-blurry wheels. Excellent. Good to see that happening in there, and it's both the cab car and the carriages. Good stuff. Great improvement. And I can hear ATC outside. Also a great improvement. And my pantograph's up. Even better. Okay, well, we can fang it now up to 110 miles per hour, because ACSES says we can. And now that we've looked at the cab car, I think that's everything I had to show you with the cab car. Yep, certainly was. We can just go for a little cruise, why not? As you do. $75 miles an hour there. 80. We'll just get it up to 100 and then we'll bail and watch it go past. I have got ATC and ACSES cut in, as you can see there. And we're now correctly showing clear 150 because that's the track speed limit here, with a 125 enforced by ACSES because we're in a cab car, not in a cellar. Only the Acela is allowed to do 150 through here. So there's been a lot of corrections for ATC and ACSES, and I have to say it's now behaving quite a lot better. It's a lot more predictable in my opinion, so good to see. Alright, it's time to bail on this train. Bye train! Time for the next juicy bit. We are in Newark Penn Station. And in front of me is the ALP 46, number 4614, New Jersey Transit. We're just about ready to get out of here, so let's just pop in. I want to cut in my safety systems, ATC and ACSES, or as they are here, CSS and SES. Now, along with all of the fixes to New York Trenton, there's a whole raft of changes to the way ATC and ACSES work. I know you're not meant to honk the horn at New York Penn, but, you know, I'm me. Now, I think this is the service I ran the first time I streamed this, which let's just say I destroyed it. So I want to see how I go this time. A little bit careful, because we do have a red signal coming up. There's an opposing service coming in, if I remember correctly. This one here is not my red, but there's the opposing service. My red's a little further out. Let's kill our bell. It's always a bit of a worry when you've got slip junctions. You're going, is that going to hit me? But no, it doesn't. But my signal is now green. Off we go. Now, I've got the HUD turned on, which I don't normally use. People who watch me know that I prefer to use the train's displays. But I just want to make sure if anything bad happens, it's me, not the train. This one is a little bit of a challenge to drive when you've got safety systems on, because they are a little bit hard to understand. Cruise our way out of New York Penn, past that train that was waiting for our platform. I still see a couple of floating assets here and there, so I'll report that. Just remember, this is an early access, so I don't actually see them on the fixed list, so they have not yet been touched, I guess. So I'm going to drive this to Newark Penn. There we go. We've got a clear 125, but our local speed limit is still 15. And our route knowledge would tell us that it's 60 in the tunnels, so you wouldn't accelerate to that speed anyway. So 125 actually is the correct line speed, but there's an ACES or ACCESS limit of 60 for the tunnels. Now the front of our trains reach the 60, so the display's saying we can do it. The HUD says we can't. I'm just letting it slowly crawl up in speed because I'm like that. In reality, you should wait till the back of the train's passed. The system shouldn't do anything to me for this, because as far as it's concerned, I'm allowed to do 60 now. So I shouldn't get punished. There we go. We are allowed to do 60, so let's cruise down the hill. Now you have to keep your eye on the green line, so it knows about upcoming speed limits and things, and it's your responsibility to stay below the green line. And if you're over the green line in the New Jersey transit world, it'll whack you, and you'll end up with a penalty stop. And if you do get a penalty stop, if I remember rightly, after it stops, you have to put the brake into handle off, acknowledge, and then you should be able to release the brake. Have to throttle off to 0 too. So handle off on the brake, throttle 0, and release. Acknowledge, and then you should be fine. Right, we're getting very close to 60. I don't want to go over 60, so I'll throttle off now. I can see in the distance up there the way out, maybe. So I think we are actually in the uphill bit now. And there's a train that's just gone past us in the other tunnel. That's not on the fixed list, so that's not been addressed as yet. Remember, this is early access. This isn't necessarily what's going to go live. I'm in the fortunate position of being allowed to share it with you. I'll be really curious what you think too. So pop your comments down below, and I'm more than happy to carry those back via the Ambassador channel. And if I spot something that I can reproduce, I can take that back via the beta channel as well. So far so good. Now the first issue I used to run into was at the first corner just after this tunnel. And on my first drive, things went just a little bit nutty. That was actually fixed in a subsequent release patch, but let's just see how we go. Make sure there's no nutty. Coming up on the end of the tunnel now. Blast out into the joyous New Jersey sunshine. Pop goes the weasel, as they say. So we're allowed up to 75 now. We will be when the back of our train passes that point. There's another service coming the other way. Now this is about where it all went bad on my initial stream. So far so good. Just get into suppression and acknowledge. Back to lap. Right, so we made that. That works now. That's good. So we got a sudden speed restriction, so that one's signalling. Because if it was a access speed restriction, you would have got an advance warning for that, but we got the brakes into suppression. Getting the brakes into suppression, you just need to drop about 15 pounds from the equalizing reservoir and go into lap, and you should be okay. Now I know we have to go down to 45 soon, so waiting. Go. So into suppression, lap, and we're good. And once we get down to the right speed, I should be able to release, and I should be able to keep driving. And I can. Good. Alright, so that's working as I expect it to. Got a station stop coming up. You do have to pay a bit of attention to what you're doing with this system. It's probably about clench factor 8. With the only the ICE3 managing a clench factor 9. It's a tad early, but it'll do fine. Just load up our passengers. There seem to be more passengers now. I did see that some passenger behaviour things have been addressed on the list. I'm not sure if I mentioned it before, but the closed door sounds are now almost inaudible outside the train, which is the way they should be, and they're audible inside the train, which is the way they should be. Used to sound like a fleet of Indian taxis cruising around New Delhi. Crew passenger drivers, pretty much straight up to full beans, as you do. We are still limited to 45 at the moment, but that should change pretty soon. There we go. Now we have a couple more speed restrictions coming up for bridges, so we'll keep an eye on those. They'll be ACSES ones, so we should see the green arc start to drop back down, and as long as we keep our speed in front of it by reducing it, we should be fine. First bridge is coming up, and I can see it changing now. You can see the arc is coming down. So we know we have to do 60, so we'll just reduce our speed. If you were going faster, as long as you reduce speed by keeping the white needle on the speedometer there on the ADU in front of that moving green line, you'll be fine. We might try that on the next one. So you just need to brake enough. Acknowledge the speed down, even though we're already there. And we'll be able to speed up after we come off the bridge. Transponder's letting us back up again. The rear of our train will pass that momentarily, and the other indicator on the HUD will change. Okay, let's go back into full beans. And I know there's another 60 zone coming up for another bridge. We can see on the HUD in the top right there that it's in about a mile's time. So unless we get a ATC indication which would suggest another train's in front of us before then, we should be right to just accelerate up as long as we're ready to come back down again for the other bridge. So far so good. So far I'm quite happy with this. Now I know that bridge isn't very far away, so I'm going to power off, but this time I deliberately am not slowing down to 60 before we get there, and there we've got the movement. So I've got some service, I've acknowledged, I'm in suppression. I should be able to put it into lap and stay in suppression, and we have. So this is working the way it should, and I should be able to release now because we're 60 or below. Brakes are releasing. I probably applied a little bit too much brake there. I didn't have to apply that much to stay in front of it, I don't think, but I went for overkill rather than missing it. So it's something to finesse. Notice all the overhead wire is actually here now, on both sides, not just over here. It's good. Come down to 45, so back to suppression. There we go. Should be fine. We've acknowledged it. And I should be able to release. Yep. I released just a little bit early then, so I had to acknowledge it a couple more times while gravity did its thing. So you're not meant to drive reacting to this. You are actually meant to know your route. Suppression, not there yet. There we go. And I've got an overspeed penalty because I didn't do it quick enough and I didn't acknowledge quick enough. Is it going to let me release from it? It is. Good. So that's working properly. Still going to end up stopping. So we should try a proper overspeed penalty, shouldn't we? So this time, let me just drive straight past this speed limit. And I'm going to get it to stop me. I want to make sure you can reset it. Because one of the issues I had before was I couldn't reset it. So we've got an ATC of 20. Well, it's reset now because whatever was in front of us has moved away. Probably crossing a track or a platform change or something. Now I can see that the green bar is moving, so I'm going to deliberately go over it, hands off, and I'm going to let it stop me this time. So let's just get into full beams. So we're waiting till it stops me. I want to make sure you can actually reset. Passengers will wonder what's going on at this point. Alright, we've got the warning. Train stop penalty. Now I shouldn't be able to acknowledge this. I cannot. Now, if I remember rightly, the way out of this is to throttle off to 0. Put your brake into handle off and acknowledge it. And then you should be able to release the brakes. And that's charging up. So, yep, you can reset it. And the brakes are releasing. Very good. I'm very happy. Back in on the full banana. So we head into Newark Penn. Ladies and gentlemen, this train will shortly be arriving at Newark Penn in New Jersey. Please collect your belongings, children's service animals, stray pets, elderly relatives, and anything else that you may need to take off the train with you, and please don't leave them behind. Thank you for taking part in this route and braking test this fine morning. All across the rather impressive bridge structure here. I believe this is still capable of opening, but they don't. That'll do. I probably should have just left the brakes applied before. Alright then, so that's as far as I'm going to take it for this video, but I'm actually very happy with that because ATC and ACSES, or CSS and SES as they're called in NJ Transit, it seemed to be working quite well. I was able to reset from the deliberate overspeed train stop penalty, so that's good. It behaved the way I expected it to. I'm actually really happy with these changes. That's good. This is going to really increase the playability with safety systems turned on, which I hope encourages more people to use them. Alrighty, thanks very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of a preview of the changes that are coming up for New York Trenton. I do not have a release date, so please don't ask. There are a few other changes here and there that I haven't shown you in this video, but I'm just leaving a little bit later because this is early access. Okay? Alrighty, have fun folks. See you later.